think it's that. I think it's that who you know thing, because everybody's, especially because I'm from Atlanta, and when I was growing up there wanting to make movies, like it wasn't all we had was Turner Broadcasting, we didn't have, and they'd been saying for years, like, oh, they're making stuff here. And it's like, no, they're shooting like news and basketball games, so it was hard, and sometimes music videos, but even those were like Miami at the time. And so, everyone tells you like, oh, you don't know anybody. Who are you going to know? I mean, now people in Atlanta know people, but there's the same version of this in Iowa or wherever now. And it is true that when you're 40 finally and making a movie, which, the average first time filmmaker is 40.
Really?
That's a piece of advice for your younger self right there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Grow up.
Don't be so hard on yourself. You're 20 years old.
Get old. But, it's who you know when you're 40. So
yeah,
you don't have to know
you came
anybody.
Up with. It's the people that, you went to school with, like, all that.
Just go wherever you're going to go. And Atlanta's a great place to do it because it's like LA, but the cost of living's lower.
Right.
And just start, like, all you have is your reputation or your future reputation, so start impressing people and they'll hire you, and every one of my friends that we moved out here with from school, I've either given a job to or they've given a job to me or both, because they got promoted. Like Marcus got me a job at a trailer house because he had gotten promoted out of the entry-level job, and they were like, oh no, who are we going to have to replace you? Everybody sucks. And he's like, I know someone who doesn't suck. And so I started working there. And that's happened, countless times with everybody I know. And eventually, like I said, you turn around and everybody who was a coffee getter on the set of Frasier is now like a president of a company somewhere because they're 40,
Yeah.
So it's cool. I've had meetings with people. I mean, like, who were like junior people 10 years ago who are now like head of development at big companies. And it's like, well, I'm glad I met with that dude, 12 years ago, for nothing. It seemed like at the time. And now we still remember each other and it just makes it easier every time.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it right there. That piece of information, that's who you know. And then that other thing that you said, Chris, and we just joked about it, but like, yeah, first-time filmmakers, 40 years old. I mean, I don't know if this is a piece of advice I needed to know, but it's just something that's been reaffirmed, which is like a lot of people move out to LA or decide they're going to try the industry for a while. And they'll put a time limit on it, and they'll be like, all right, I'll do it for 5 years. And they put a lot of intense pressure on themselves. And they'll see friends and people that they went to film school with, like, rapidly ascending the ladder while they're not. And the truth is, no one really knows why any of this stuff takes off, or why, why someone's personal assistant is then producing a movie 3 years later while someone else who's a gifted screenwriter is like, not doing anything like that. And, as long as it's like in you, this part of you that won't stop wanting to do it, then you can keep, moving on that trajectory and keep moving forward. I mean, listen, life will tell you when it's time to give up and quit it. And it's usually like, you meet people who will say like, no one's giving me a shot, so I'm putting it all on my credit card and I'm just doing it. And then sometimes you meet those people and you're like, please don't. But then you meet other people where you're like, yeah, you should, because you really do have something. So as long as you're like moving forward and always learning, I mean, Chris and I mean, we've been doing this stuff for a long, long time. I will tell you, like, I never know what I'm doing, but that's the exciting part of it. It's like new and different things, or even this whole process with Netflix or selling this particular movie has all been very different. Like, I've learned things the whole time. So you don't have to, put so much pressure on yourself or look at what other people are doing. I mean, if you do like it and love it, it'll keep you up at night and you'll have to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And then just like don't feel so much pressure on yourself. Just do what anytime I've done something that I thought like, this is definitely going to sell, this is definitely going to be the thing that people want, it never is.
Mm-hmm.
And The Old Ways is very much a movie that like I felt impassioned to write. I felt like we could do a really good job of it. And there were plenty of people who were like, I don't know if this is the one that's worth doing. And we really felt like in our core, there was something about it we wanted to do. So just follow those instincts and, be an old person making a movie.
When your priorities, you just gotta be honest with yourself about your priorities. If your priority is house, dog, yard, then that's your priority, But if it's make a movie one day or work in the industry or create things, then that's your priority, and just figure out which one's actually talking the loudest and obey that one, because you won't be happy with the house and the yard and the dog if you really wanted to make movies, and you won't be happy making movies if you really wanted to be in the suburbs. Or, unless you can do both. But if it's one or the other, figure out which one is the one.
Nice.